Hi, welcome back to the channel. So 6,000 mile oil change is due in 300 or 400 miles, so I'm going to get it done now as I'll be away on the North Coast 500 in a couple of weeks time on a week's holiday. So Hitchcock's UK sell complete kits. I don't need the air filter as I do have a DNA filter. However, spare seals and everything is a good idea to get. You do need a salt washer when you do an oil change. So that, along with oil and the DNA filter cleaning kit, was all ordered from Hitchcock's. Now I don't need to clean that DNA filter yet, but I thought I'll get the cleaning kit when I'm ordering all the stuff that's here, or when I do need it on the next filter change, which will be 12,000 miles because it went on at 2,000. So 3 days later, everything arrived. Really quick service as always from Hitchcock's. I only need approximately just under 2 litres of oil, but I just bought another bottle. There's no harm in having some spare. The manual does say 1.7 litres for an oil change and 2 for a full engine rebuild. But I will drain the sump out. A lot of folk don't do that, they just do the filter. So there is loads of films on YouTube on doing this, and most of you that own these are probably not even going to watch this film because you've done, like me, oil filter changes for years and all manner of vehicles and bikes and things. But there'll be some folk that haven't, new to riding, or always had bikes that need serviced in shops. And the beauty of this bike is you can do everything yourself, and it is a joy to work on. So, 2 things I've got to do, tappet clearance and then oil and filter plug change. So tappets will get done one day, which is this film, and then part 2 we'll do the oil and filter. So tappets need to be done when the engine's cold. So next morning we did them. So quickly access the seat. I've got obviously made mine so it's only one nut and bolt instead of the 2, as I cut grooves in the back of the seat. You might remember when I resprayed the bike. Just saves a bit of time and faffing around. There you go, off as quick as that with a quick release spring kit I did as well. Seat off, tank off. Tank's a bit fiddly underneath, but you can support it with something. I just used this wee Guard tub. And you've got to get in and squeeze the fuel connector, disconnect that, and then also pull out the electrical connector, which is also a little squeeze tab. Very first time you do both of these were really tight when I did this, and they came off a lot easier this time. So with them off, you can then just pull the tank out of the way. They say you should empty your tank. I've just done this with a full tank of petrol, so it is easy to do. I wouldn't worry about that, about the weight. The fuel pipe and the electrical connector removed, just peel off the breather pipe underneath, then you can remove the tank. And then you're also going to have to look at getting into your coil and removing that, which is 3 bolts with 2 earth straps. Take note of them, make sure you put them back on. Take photos of everything with a phone if you're not sure. Next is a 14mm Allen key. Now if you don't have one of these, you'll be able to buy one cheap on eBay. So you can turn the crank over to do the tappet adjustments, and there's a little casing up the top below the rocker cover. We'll remove that as well. Now you can turn the engine over by putting it into gear as well, so if you don't have an Allen key, that's another option, but a bit more accurate using this with a ratchet. So I'm just getting the original plug key out, the original toolkit, and I discovered something. Well, first of all, discovered the plug's in really tight. I would say too tight. And secondly, this plug key, I could not get the plug loosened with it. and there's not a spanner in the toolkit, or as I tried, the 12 and 13 both won't fit. One's too tight, one's too loose. Very weird, eh? So eventually I just put an adjustable on that, and I realised I was just going to round the end of that plug key. So I had to use a 16mm proper plug socket out of socket set. So if you've not got one of them, buy a 16mm socket on eBay or whatever to add to your toolkit, because you might need to do this and break that loose. Because if I'd been out and I had to change a plug on the roadside, I'd have been stuck here. So that's ridiculous how tight that plugs in. This adjustable is just going to round the end of that key. I had to give up and use my socket. That's bad spanner in that. So anyway, let's get that plug out and get on with the job. So with the 3 bolts off the rocker cover, just a case of just gluing it as such, it's slightly stuck on, and you just lift that off. But you're going to be careful and just pull off your seal. It sits in a groove, and you can reuse these, but I've got a spare one in case this one's damaged. So I'll change it when I do the next service. So these sort of things are not oil pressure, they're just splash oil on these. So I would say do them every second service. It's up to you though, you know, it's your bike, do what you want. I set the engine at top dead centre now, so that's marked on the cam chain sprocket at the top there with a T, and there's a hole there. Now there is an alignment tool that slots onto the top of that engine and goes into that hole, which is unavailable just now at Hitchcock's. Which means it'll be absolutely spot dead on. So you can tell if you're right because you'll have play in your rockers, but if they're tight, we'll take it another full revolution and they should be slack. So jumping ahead of the camera here, I already tested the back and it was a wee bit tight, so I loosened the lock nut. So the clearance is 0.08mm, and it should just be a nice easy slide in and out. Now you can't quite get to that adjuster flat with a flathead screwdriver, so I find the easiest way to do it is set it slightly slack, hand tight the nut, then just carefully nip the nut up, and time you tighten that, it will slightly tighten the adjustment, and you should be able to get it spot on. But it might take a couple of attempts.
There you go.
But you can see that it's got sliding in and out with not a lot of effort. It's not warping the feeler gauge or that. But that's how easy it is to do. You don't need to pay a bike shop to do it. You can do it yourself. Home maintenance. So that's intake done. Just do the exhaust now, and it is 0.18mm clearance, and there you go. So that one was not bad. It's a wee bit slack, not much, so just got to loosen it and adjust it slightly. It's just trial and error with these things, 2 or 3 attempts sometimes, or they just go straight away. But it's not rocket science, it is easy to do. Just take your time. Just make sure you've got no debris that's going to fall on that engine when you've got it opened as well. Yeah, for obvious reasons. Okay, time to get the rocker cover back on. Just take your time here. Now, I worked out quickly that there's this bracket here in the way, so I've decided I'll take that out of the way. So when you do dismantle, take this off as well, and you'll make it a wee bit easier for yourself. This is why a homemade video, you'll always gleam something off one. I didn't see that taken off in anyone else's video. So there you go, get that lined up carefully. Just watch with your seal that it's into the ridge inside the cover. Just have a good check before you start putting bolts and tightening that down. Just take your time. Use a torch if need be. But then when these bolts go in, you don't need to go in tight because they're not torqued, they're just nipped up and no more. So Get that in, and then it's just a case of spark plug tight on these. Just tighten them down evenly, and they'll go to a stop, and then you just give it the tiniest of nick. I don't know what it is exactly, 1/8 of a turn or something. Spark plug tight. If you stick with that, you'll never strip anything. So again, I had the camera switched on when I took this little cover off. Two 4mm Allen keys. So just put that back on, and then your crank case rotation cover, and we're nearly done on the rebuilding. So we've got the electrical connection and the fuel connection sitting there ready to go into the tank, and we'll go around the other side, reattach the coil with its 2 air straps and all the electrical connectors and this little bracket here. It's quite fiddly this, just take your time, you'll get in there and get it threaded up. So let's just reconnect the 2 cables we had disconnected, and then reattach the coil. Remember the 2 earth wires, and then just get that tightened up. We're nearly done. And stick another cable tie back on. I forgot to film cutting that off actually, just to get into that bracket. But yeah, that keeps everything neat and tidy in there, as it should be. Okay, so just offer up this tank again, prop it up so you can get into that electrical connector, get that slid in, and then reconnect the fuel pipe. Got to get those connectors right squeezed tight to get them in, but you'll get there, doesn't take long. And then with the tank back on at the front, reattach the seat, and we're ready for a fire up soon. Start with a spark plug though, so just gap your plug 0.7 to 0.8mm. There you go. So just oil and filter to do in the next part 2 of this 6,000-mile service. I'm also going to change the brake pads before I go up to North Coast 500 in 2 weeks' time. I want some good brakes up there. Keep these half-worn ones as spares in the bike. So quick fire up to check nothing's leaking, everyone's okay, and it should be sounding a wee bit quieter. The Tappet's bang on now. So I hope you found that helpful. It's not rocket science, but that's the beauty of this bike. It is a joy to work on. It's so easy. There you go. Sounds great. So next film will be part 2, oil and filter change. Maybe get the brake pads done as well on another film sometime. But thanks for watching. Leave a like and comment as always if you enjoyed that. Let me know. I'll get back to you. Take care. Bye for now.